Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I have a fun video to do today. I like to do this every now and then, partially because I think it's cool content. It's fun to watch, probably. I like watching this type of video, but also for me, selfishly, doing collection updates creates kind of a timestamp for me. I did my first one a little under a year ago when I started the channel, and it's kind of cool to be able to look back and with how many knives I buy, sell, and trade, sometimes it's easy to forget like what I had when, how long ago was it that I had that knife, when did I sell it, and yeah, also just looking at kind of the evolution of my collection and how it changes. I've talked on my podcast a few times recently with a couple of my guests about how collections of knives seem to kind of evolve over time. And I think this video will probably be a little bit of an evidence of that, because if you compare this video to the very first collection update that I did almost a year ago, my collection is drastically different this time. There are certainly some things that are still the same. There are some knives that will probably be the same for years and years and years, maybe forever. But ultimately, a lot is also very different. So it's also much bigger now. I think when I did my first collection update, I had my knife case that held 20 knives, and I tried to keep my collection kind of contained within that case. I had some spillover of knives that had been kicked out just because they were kind of like lesser, if you will. But now I have a 20 knife case here, which is kind of the premium part of my collection, I guess I would say. It's like kind of my 20 favorites, if you want to call it that. Not necessarily, but it's like 20 really nice knives go in this case. And then I have, we're going to go through all these one by one, don't worry. But then I have this 40 knife case, which has, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 26, 27 of my knives, and has 8 loaners in it. And this just kind of lives on my desk open right now. So, I mean, that's a lot of knives. And then I've got this box thing, which I've set some fixed blades on, so I can't open at the moment. But I've got some of my larger folders in here, and then I've tossed some of my EDC fixed blades on top, some of my kind of favorites that currently get rotated into my carry. So, a lot of knives. And I'll try to be pretty quick and concise about just showing it, saying what it is, and then putting it back in the case and moving on. I'll just show it from both sides probably. And for the sake of time, I think that's probably the best way to do this, because if I start telling a story about each and every knife, it will take forever, and that's why I review the knives individually. So if you are interested in any of these knives and want to learn more about it, it's either already been reviewed or it's in the process of being reviewed, because they're my knives and that's what I do. So without further ado, I think what I'm going to do is set the camera up kind of facing my desktop. And I'm not usually a tabletop kind of guy, but I think for the sake of this video, just showing the knives one by one, that'll probably be the most effective way to do it. So I think I'll go through the cases, starting with my 40 knife case, and then I'll go through the big knife case that's got the fixed blades on it. Or maybe I'll start with that. Then I'll start with the like wooden box thing that I have. Then I'll go to my 40 knife case, and then I'll finish on my 20 knife case with kind of my top 20, if you will. And I think that should work. I've left out a bunch of the fixed blades that I own, kind of the outdoorsy ones, and like maybe I'll do a fixed blade collection video soon. Let me know down below in the comments if that's something you'd like for me to do. So I just have 4 of my kind of EDC fixed blades out on the table today, but all of my folders are here, other than one that I'm not allowed to show yet. So that will probably be in the next one, but I also made sure that I waited until all the knives that I had loaned out got back to do this. And there's a couple of knives, only 2, that I've actually already sold that I need to ship out today. But I wanted to encapsulate my collection as it is right now and then send those out. And yeah, so I'm going to turn you around. We're going to jump right into it. I'll go box, orange case, tan case, and we'll call that good. All right, we're going to flip around. All right, so I apologize for all the clutter that is on my desk at the moment, but let's go ahead and jump right into it. So first things first, this is my Giant Mouse GMF1F in Oak City leather scales and sheath, and I really like this knife. I'm gonna refrain from saying I really like this knife because these are all knives I own, so I like all of them. But yeah, GMF1F. That's probably my smallest fixed blade, maybe ever. This is a Bradford Guardian 3 in M390 and the wood and G10 scales. Oh, I didn't flip it, did I? There we go. This is my Wurtzmade Falcon. Love this knife. I'm in the process of doing my full review on it now. This is kind of one that I'd consider a hybrid between an outdoor knife and an EDC fixed blade, and it rides that line very well. There you go. Love this thing. So there's that. And then this is my Steingraber Performance Knives, or SPK Shark in Vanex Super Clean. I adore this knife so much. It is a laser beam made of waterproof metal, so it's pretty cool. All right, now in here, let's see, we have my ZT-0350. I like this knife, mostly for sentimental reasons. This was a gift from my wife back when we were dating, and now she's my wife, so it's a forever knife. This is my ZT-0620. This one was also a gift from my wife, this time when we were married, but I had this custom TerraTough scale built by my buddy. He goes by ST Knife Mods on Instagram if you want to check him out. Love this guy. And next we have my ZT-308. This is a beast of a knife. This thing is huge. Titanium frame lock. Really cool. Very much overbuilt. Very much what I think ZT should get back to. This is my Benchmade Sentinel, an Eliashewitz design. This knife was given to me by my dad quite a long time ago now, and for sentimental reasons, also a forever knife. So there you go. This one, also a forever knife because it was a gift from Kyle, DTOM Knives and Gear. We did our kind of Friendsgiving gift exchange, and this is what he gave me. I still need to review this knife. It's a CH knife. I forget what it's called, but he laser engraved it with a guy that looks like me, my channel name, and holes are greater than studs, because he knows, and I know, that holes are greater than studs. Anyway, pretty ridiculous cleaver thing. Next we have my Microtech Stitch. I love this knife. Crazy, hard-firing auto, and just an overbuilt beast that actually fits my hand really well. And yeah, this is a sweet knife. And then last in this case, we have the Birch Tree Boker Impetus. I got this on Amazon recently. I still need to do my review. I paid like $150 for this thing because I couldn't find it cheaper anywhere else. And I actually have another one sitting in a box waiting for me to unbox. I'm going to return this one because I found it on Smoky Mountain Knife Works for like $70, which is half of what I paid for this one, which in 440C blade steel, it should not be allowed to charge $150 for one of these, but just kind of a fun, another birch tree for my collection. All right, so that's this box. We're gonna go ahead and switch to the orange box. All right, I brought us up to a higher angle for this box because it's bigger. I figured it would make it a little easier to see everything that's in here. These two bottom rows are just loaners. I guess I've got these organized like a weirdo. This knife is way too big for this case. This is a 523, but I'll run through the loaners, I guess, real fast, although they're not part of my collection, so I don't really feel a need to like show them like they're mine. This is the Artisan Arroyo. I'm actually sending this to Kyle from DTOM Knives and Gear today. This is the CKF 523 on loan from Kevin, left EDC. Also on loan from Kevin, we have a lefty concept, however you say it. I think this one's called the Warrior, and the challenge was to try carrying a lefty knife right-handed, which is not that fun, which goes to show that carrying righty knives left-handed is probably not fun either. Then I've got 3 of these in. This is the MBK EWC, it's the dual detent flipper thing. Full review is about to get filmed on that. So yeah, I've got that in carbon, micarta, and raindrop carbon. Those are all 3 loaners. Next we've got the Wee Snex Mini Buster on loan from the Knife Whisperer. Joe loaned this to me, along with the CKF Gavco. I always forget the name of this model. I feel bad. Is it the Tiger? I don't know. They're all named after sharks. It's one of those. But it's the CKF Gavco collab. And yeah, pretty cool one. So those are the loaners in the case. Everything else that's in here is mine. And yeah, we'll just kind of go, I guess, top to bottom from this. So the whole first row and the next 2 slots even are all Finch knives. The first of which is the Holiday. This one is in black micarta. I love the Holiday. Really, really great knife. Might be my favorite Finch. It's probably tied with the ones you'll see down here. But next is the Cimarron. Cimarron is a lot of fun. Enjoying this knife quite a bit. This and the Holiday are both still in the process of being reviewed as of when I'm filming this, so I haven't quite finished those yet, but very soon. Next we have the Tycuna. Tycuna is a pretty cool knife. Really like this one as well. I just realized I keep saying I really like all of them, and I said I wouldn't. Here we go. This is the 1929 in blue denim micarta. That hand rub blade finish is sweet. Yeah, this and the Holiday are probably kind of tied for my favorite Finch knives. I've actually got another 1929. This one in the Snakewood, I think it's called. Both of these are 154 cm. Next we've got my 2 Runtleys. So first I have the Yellow Belly Runtley. This is from the very first run of them. So this one's in N690, whereas most of their knives now are 154 cm. It's kind of cool that one's different in that way. And I have the Pumpkin Green Runtley. Pretty sweet. Very different from the yellow one aesthetically, but same knife. So 2 Runtleys, 2 1929s, a Tycuna, and Cimarron, and a Holiday. So I have a full Finch's nest currently, and I'll probably do a video soon with just those. This spot is empty because the knife that I had sitting here I'm not allowed to show yet. It's a kind of coming soon knife that I'm lucky to have early, but you'll see that soon. This one is my Spyderco Salt 2 in H1 blade steel. This basically is just kind of a tackle box knife for me at this point. Not really into backlocks. You'll notice as you look across my collection, I do not have many of them, but this one is like a fishing knife in my opinion, and it works well for that. I actually need to sharpen it, so that'll be getting sharpened soon, which should be easy on H1. Next we have, I think, the only other backlock to my name, and this one technically is kind of my daughter's knife, but she's too young to have it yet. This is the Cutlery Shoppe glow-in-the-dark Dragonfly in VG10, and I just reviewed this one pretty recently, and Jeff was really cool over at Cutlery Shoppe, said that when I'm done with the review to give it to my wife or daughter, and my daughter is going to love it, but she's still too little to keep it in her possession, so it lives in my knife case for now. Next we have one of my all-time favorite kind of budget beater knives. This I think was like 80 bucks when I bought it. You can see that blade. It's pretty dirty. This is the Boker Lateralis. It's a JB Stout design. It's in D2, and just a really fun, like good hard-working knife that I find when I have like a lot of, I don't know, kind of harder around the house chores I reach for, because if it gets messed up, it's not going to be the end of my day. It's just a good knife at the price point that it came in at to use that way. So there's that. Next we have the Giant Mouse Ace Biblio. This one is in the burgundy micarta. Like this knife a lot. We got a flipper and a hole for deployment. M390 blade steel. Great, great knife from Giant Mouse. Not my favorite Giant Mouse knife, but very good. Next, I've actually got two of these because they just sent me another one from Asher, but this is the Asher Nomad. I think I got the name right. There's a few Ashers, and I always get them confused. But this is the kind of original run. It's on bearings, Axis style lock. It's marked S35VN. This original batch, I guess some made it out in D2 that were marked as S35VN. So part of making that right, Asher replaced them with these. This one is actual S35VN. It's got an updated blade grind that feels better. I think he switched manufacturers altogether, and yeah, so I just did a recent video unboxing this and kind of highlighting that it has been updated. So there's that. Next we have, this is actually the first knife that a company gave me to review, which was really cool. This was from Fox Knives. This is their Pelican model. It's a K Max ROM design, and pretty cool knife. If you watch my review of this, you can see it's quite the chopper as folders go, and just a good burly kind of outdoorsy folder. Next we have one of my favorite Spydercos ever, the Danger Pickle. This knife was in the running for Knife of the Year 2020 for me, and yeah, it didn't quite come out on top, but I adore this knife. Love it so much, and it's pretty much why I now have that crappy 440C Boker impetus, because it's just a lot like that. Next we have the Project Maximet PM2. This is the Paramilitary 2 that I recently modified with these sharp dress knife scales, and I acid etched the blade. I used Blades We Love hardware, MXG gear clip, and turned out pretty sweet. I really like this knife, especially now that I've modified it. It was a factory seconds Maximet PM2 to begin with. This is my River's Edge Cutlery Scorpion PM2, CPM 10V blade steel. This is my favorite blade steel that has ever been introduced on the PM2 for the way that I like to use the PM2. It just makes a lot of sense. Got a Lynch clip on there right now. That's the FDE one. And yeah, I love this PM2. This, if I could only keep a PM2 forever, it might be this one just because it's, in my opinion, the best. But you'll see in my other case, I have the other PM2 that I actually carry a little more. Next, we have the C-Rex Shaman. This is wearing Fireside Coast scales. These are the Seafoam Green Tarot Tough, and I love them. You might notice it's the same exact color as is on my Steingraber Performance Knives Shark, little fixed blade in Van X. But this one started as the Tree Rex, and then I upgraded the scales. So instead of the wooden scales that it came with, it has these, hence it being called the C-Rex. But it's Rex 45, which is an awesome steel for the Shaman. This knife has been carried and used a ton. I love that knife. Next we have one that my full review is actually about to go live on. This is the Rec Lil Native, or River's Edge Cutlery exclusive Lil Native. You can see this is their kind of signature colorway, which you'll see on another knife in the other case. But this is 204P blade steel, and it's got a flat dark earth PVD coating on the blade, and then it's got OD green scales, all black hardware, and love this little guy. So there's that. Next we have what is currently still my favorite sub $100 knife. This is the Ferrum Forge Stinger, and it's manufactured by WE for them. Really cool knife, Nitro V blade steel. Just a great, super thin, slicey, very easy to carry, excellent pocket clip. It's I love that knife. Next we have my ProTech SBR. This is a River's Edge Cutlery exclusive with this blue partial coating on the blade. I believe it's Cerakote. S35VN blade steel on this guy. Aluminum for the handle scales that are hard anodized black. It's a Les George design. Really cool knife. I like the SBR quite a bit. Actually, this is my second SBR. I owned one before, and it was nice enough that I wanted to have one again. This is a knife that I actually haven't reviewed. I don't know if I will. It just seems more like a toy than a knife to me personally, and it's partially serrated, which I'm not big on. But I got this from kind of the give a knife, take a knife, pass around. This is what I took out of it, and it's a little Microtech UTX 70. This is their tiny little OTF. It is kind of fun to sit and play with, but not a good cutter at all, and it seems kind of useless as a knife to me personally for the things that I use knives for, but is what it is. I've got some more compelling Microtech OTFs on the way right now. Next we have my Pina Moolah. This one was in my kind of premium case for a long time, but it just barely kind of got booted out just because space is tight in there. But yeah, this is an excellent little titanium frame lock M390. It's the Pina X series, so this one is manufactured by Riat. Great knife. Love this guy. Next we have one of my ProTech Malibus. The other one you'll find in my premium case, if you will, but this is the first Malibu I got, and it should be in the premium case, but again, space is tight. So this is production run number 1, knife number 2, which is really cool. Nice low number Malibu, and it's a little bit unique from the others that I've seen, I think because it's such a low number and they were just kind of throwing parts at it maybe when they were putting it together for me. But it's got this like satin finished clip, and most of the ones that are this configuration have a black clip on them, so kind of cool. This one's a little different. Yeah, so ProTech Malibu, that actually was Knife of the Year 2020 for me. Next we have another knife that I actually haven't reviewed yet, mostly just because I bought it because it's funny. But this is the Boker Desert Warrior Mini Kalashnikov, or Kalashnikov 74, whatever you want to call it. And as you can see, it is donut themed, which makes it hilarious and fun and just kind of different, and makes my knife, or makes my collection feel more like a collection to have something a little bit ridiculous like this in it. So there's that. And next, I guess last in this case, we have my Benchmade Super Freak. This has been my favorite Benchmade for a long time. I now have an Anthem, which I like a little more than it, if I'm being honest. This cost way less than the Anthem. For some reason, both models are now discontinued, which I find ridiculous because they were the two best models in their catalog, in my opinion. But I actually am sending this out today. I just traded this as part of a trade deal for a very interesting Microtech that's coming in. So yeah, it's going away, which is crazy. I love this knife. It's an evidence of how much I sell and trade knives that I love to keep chasing new stuff to try. But yeah, this has been a great knife for me, and I'm sure the next owner is gonna love it too. So that is the Super Freak. And that concludes the orange 40 knife case. That's everything in here. As you can see, I've got 3 more slots not in the loaner section that it could fill, and then 2 more in the loaner section. Loaners come and go, so sometimes I have more or less than this, but this case has come in super handy to live just kind of open here on my desk for me to pull out the loaners that I'm working on reviewing, and to just grab things to carry every now and then as well. And I love this case. The size of this case, this is a Cutlery Shoppe knife case, and this 40 slot one is a little bit shallower than the next one you see, which is a 20 slot one. So the only knife in here that would be problematic for it is the 523. That's just giant. This is too long of a knife for the case, but typically the longest knives that it can handle are about the length of a PM2 and still latch shut because they're just kind of tall. But the other case you'll see is bigger and can accommodate longer knives like this one, but I don't keep my loaners in that one, so I just keep this one open on here for now, and that's what works for me. So we're going to go ahead and swap over to the tan case, and we'll go over the last 20 knives. All right, so here we have what I would consider right now my kind of top 20. I've made a point to not keep any duplicates in here, like you'll see a PM2 but not a bunch of PM2s, because I currently own 3. I don't have enough space in here to be playing that game of keeping multiples in here. But these are my current top 20. One other knife in here was part of that same trade deal with the Benchmade, so it's leaving, which is maybe going to be a little shocking to some people because it's a knife that I loved, raved about. It's been one of my favorites that I've checked out in recent history. But again, I sell and trade a lot of knives that I love to keep the ball rolling and keep trying new things. But let's start at the top. Current favorite knife in my collection, has been for quite a while now. This is the Koenig Arius. I adore the Arius completely. It's my favorite. I just love this knife. Love carrying it, love using it, love playing with it. It is a fantastic, fantastic knife. So Koenig Arius is in slot number 1. Next we have the Demko AD20. This is my favorite hard use knife for sure. It's just a beast. It's featuring the Shark Lock, which is the most newly invented knife from Andrew Demko, and it's just so much fun to play with, a thrill to use. It's actually pretty great in pocket. I have a deep carry clip on the way for this, an aftermarket one. We'll see how that goes, but love, love, love this knife. Next in line, we've got the CKF Evo 2.0, which is a Rotten design knife, and I was really lucky to get this one. I've done my first impressions on this, but not my full review yet, and I am really, really enjoying this knife. Just a crazy grind, really great ergos. This is a very fun, very cool knife, and they're almost impossible to get for a reasonable price these days. This is my current only SNG. I traded or sold my my actual Strider SNG, which is fine because I prefer this one. I did a head-to-head between the two of them before I sent it out. This is the ProTech SNG Operator Series, so you'll see it's all blacked out. It's got the little tritium insert on the button, and otherwise it is totally black and sterile. No markings anywhere, nothing. Really, really cool version of an already great knife. So there's that. Next we have my TRM Atom. This is actually the second Atom that I've owned because I sold my first one to my brother since he wanted it so bad. This one is a little special because it's the DLC bladed version. You don't see a ton of these in DLC, and just a great, slim, really nice, American made by good American people. Very good knife. Next we have my favorite PM2. Again, the 10V is the better blade steel, but I just love this colorway. And I love the River's Edge Cutlery collaborations that go like this. So this is a River's Edge Cutlery exclusive, CTS 204P PM2, in their kind of signature colorway here with the PVD coated FDE blade, OD green scales, and then I've got the Magpul FDE lynch clip on here for now. I actually kind of like the way it looks. It kind of reminds me of like a FN Scar. Like it's got a lot of FDE on it, but none of it matches. Anyway. This is my Spyderco Para 3 in Maximet, and this one is wearing Cerberus Worker 3 scales, and this has been my longest owned, most used Para 3 by far. I love this one. It's also got a lynch clip on it. You can see it's not super deep carry because the Para 3 already sucks for deep carry, and with the Worker scales it extends even further out there, but is what it is. I love these scales in hand, and it's still great to carry. So that's the way it's set up right now. It's been through a few iterations. Next we have the Spyderco Gale Bradley 2. This one is in M4 blade steel. It's wearing sharp dressed knives, brown or natural micarta scales, and an MXG deep carry clip. I love this knife. It is one of my favorite knives to actually like do hard use tasks with. It's just a great cutter, excellent profile, good ergos, all of that. So there's the GB2. Next we have what will, as of like an hour from now, when I package up the Super Freak, be my only Benchmade, other than the old Sentinel that I've got in that other case. That was a gift from my dad. This is kind of the only one that I'll actually carry these days. And this is the Anthem, and I think it is the nicest Benchmade that they've ever made. I don't care about all of their like gold class stuff. I guess you could say there are more expensive Benchmades. I think this is the best Benchmade that they've ever made, at least that I've experienced so far. It's got an axis lock, but it's totally different. It doesn't run on Omega springs. It's an integral, just a crazy, crazy Benchmade. And I'm bummed that they discontinued it, but I'm glad that I have one. It makes it sting a little less because I don't need to worry about the fact that they're not making more. Next is my CKF Satori 2.0. It's a Rosenti design, also an integral, and this, maybe shockingly, is actually the other part of that trade deal. This is the knife that I'm letting go of, which is crazy. I adore this knife. It is so much fun. It carries great. If you watch my review, you'll see I love it. It is a fantastic, fantastic knife, and there's so much that I enjoy about it. But now that I've finished reviewing it, and I'm in the process of reviewing new stuff, it's just hard to justify putting it in pocket because I'm always carrying new stuff, and somebody that had something I wanted was willing to trade for this. So that's the way it goes. And yeah, this one's on its way soon, but great, great, great CKF knife. I really highly recommend these, especially because the secondary prices are pretty low right now compared to what these were new. All right, next we have the Giant Mouse Ace Grand. This is my favorite Giant Mouse knife. I adore the Grand. You'll notice the Shaman that I have, my C-Rex Shaman, doesn't live in this kind of top 20 case, and this does. I find that I reach for this kind of over the Shaman these days, which is a little crazy. I love the Spyderco Shaman, but they kind of fill a similar role for me, and this is the one that I find myself gravitating a little bit more towards. So great, great, great knife from Giant Mouse. Next we have the Vero Axon, and this one is in the natural micarta with belt satin finish. I'm about to do my full review on this, so that's coming real soon, and I love this knife. It is really exceptional. It's my favorite Vero for sure at the moment, and in fact, in tandem with that, I'll show the knife that's in my pocket because it's not in one of these cases, and I'm realizing I should show it. This I just unboxed last night. This is the Vero Impulse Mini in hand rub M390 with plain titanium accents, so it's all plain hardware, etc. But man, I am digging this knife so far as well. I don't think I like it more than the Axon, but I'm really glad I got this one as well. So that's the knife that's actually in my pocket at the moment. Set that there for ease. All right, next we have the Brian Brown Knives Jaeger M. This is a Brian Brown design that he collaborated with Reat to have them do the production. There were 300 of these made in this configuration. He's done a previous run with WE knives. I believe he intends to do more of these, maybe with a different inlay or something. But I love this. This particular one is the flipperless, so it's just the opening, the thumb hole, opening hole, whatever you want to call it, for deployment. And yeah, this one's very sweet. Full review coming on this one as well soon. I've done my unboxing and first impressions on it already though. So love, love, love that knife. Next we have the Birch Tree Blades Secant. Just like that Jaeger M, this was a collaboration with Reat. So Michael Birch of Birch Tree Blades had Reat do this production run for him. And again, only 300 knives. The difference here is he's never going to have more of these made, which is pretty crazy. I've done my full review on this guy. Love this knife. Super fun action. Probably my favorite thumb stud action knife I've ever owned. Just really, truly exceptional. So there you go. Next, we have my Valentine's Day gift from my wife just a couple of days ago, as of when I'm filming this. This is the ProTech Mordax. It's a ferrum forged design. This is the one they collaborated with Drop on. So you'll see on this side it says Drop. These are in CPM 20CV. It is a manual button lock folder from ProTech, and I adore this knife. It is probably my second favorite ProTech, only behind the Malibu. You'll notice that these are both the blacked out versions. I love ProTech blacked out knives. In fact, even this one is blacked out as well. And yeah, I vibe with this kind of colorway, if you want to call it that, from ProTech. But the Malibu was my 2020 knife of the year. This all black one that I was able to pick up at California Custom Knife Show is my favorite of the two versions, just because it looks so cool, or of the two that I own. So you'll remember I already showed the stone washed one. But the reason why I have two, frankly, is because everyone always wants to borrow a Malibu to check out, and I can hardly stand to not have one for a little while. It's one of my favorite knives to carry and use. All right, next, we're getting down to the end here. We have the Urban EDC Supply Voxnays F5.5. This is one of my more recent acquisitions as well. I love this knife. This one's in the natural micarta and M390. Excellent, excellent little knife. I carry this as a secondary a lot, and it is exceptional. So there's the F5.5. Next we have another one of my favorites. This is the Quiet Carry Waypoint in Vanex Super Clean Steel. This was also a contender for Knife of the Year 2020, and it was pretty close. I love this knife. It's really, really excellent. One of my most comfortable, if not my most comfortable knives to carry. And yeah, it's just excellent. I love, love, love this knife, and the fact that it's in Vanex Super Clean makes it all the more exciting because it is waterproof. Next we have my Pina X Series Apache front flipper. This knife is super fun. The Apache blade shape just kind of speaks to me. This one has now been modified by my buddy Jason, who I just had on my podcast. He's gotten into anodizing, and while he was borrowing this, I convinced him to anodize it for me. And this bronze on all the titanium, I think, just looks fantastic with the micarta. It's a great contrast with the blade. This knife is it was already special. Now it's extra special. So that's my Pina Apache. It's the X series version. So another Riat made knife from Enrique Pina. And the last knife in the case is probably my favorite secondary knife to carry, just because it's so small and works so well and fits my hand so well. This is the Giant Mouse Ace Riv. And this is a fairly recent knife for me. I think this is the most recent knife to come from Giant Mouse, except for maybe the GM7. But this is one of the Ace line knives, so it's a regular production, and kind of like a shrunken down Biblio in a lot of ways, but it actually fits my hand better than a Biblio. I don't know, really, really great knife. The review on this was pretty positive. So there you have it. Those are all the knives. I'll switch back to my face for a moment, and we'll seal the deal on this one. All right, so as you can see, my collection in just under a year already has evolved a ton. And when I shot that first collection video, my collection was pretty different at that moment than it had been a year before that. So I like time-stamping this. I like cataloging what I've got when I've got it in kind of a loose way. What's also interesting is even if you go back to my more recent collection update, was just a few months ago, my collection is wildly different now, and there's a lot of stuff that I've even picked up in between filming that last one and sold already before filming this one. So there's some things that slip through the cracks of me not doing this that frequently, but I think it would be a little bit too much to be doing this like monthly or something. I don't know, I think it would get old, but I love, encapsulating where I'm at these kind of time marks. And I'm really happy right now with where my collection is. I'll be very soon selling at least a few pieces that are currently in my collection. Like you've already seen, I've just traded a couple of knives that I love, and that's just the way my collection works. Like, there are a few knives that are off limits because they were gifts from loved ones, or really that's kind of it. If it's a knife that I bought or traded for myself, then it's fair game to, if I want to chase something else, everything is kind of a trading piece. And a lot of people don't look at their collection that way. A lot of people just buy and never sell, never trade. And I think there's an allure to that. And if you can exist in the hobby that way and get the things you want still, then great. But for me, working on somewhat of a limited financial resource to pump into knives, the way that I'm able to get new exciting things, and I've always got new exciting things, is through that buying, selling, and trading. And so some of this stuff is going to keep on changing, but where it's at right now, I'm really kind of proud of. I think this is the coolest my collection has ever been. Up to this point, at this moment, this is the nicest knife collection that I've ever had all in one place. And I'm proud of it. I think it's cool. It's been fun to build it to where it is. There are probably quite a few people who are watching this who can't imagine having this many knives. And there's probably other people watching this who, like, my collection seems not that impressive. I don't have really any customs in here. I don't have anything all that crazy. The most expensive knife in this collection currently is probably still my Arius. It's been that way for a long time. That's still kind of my ceiling of the range that I play in at the moment. And I've gotten a few other knives that are in that range lately, and I like playing in that upper production realm. But there are people with collections that are worth hundreds of times more than mine is, and there's other people who have a knife collection that is 3 budget knives or a budget knife. And I think the most important thing about a knife collection, philosophically, is that it makes you happy to have it, that you enjoy it, and that it's fun for you. And if you enjoy the knives that you own, then that's all that really matters about it. This, to me, the way I look at knives, and still kind of look for some utility in each one that I own to an extent, is kind of my buddy Jason, who I just did a podcast with, when we were talking privately a few days ago. He called his collection an embarrassment of riches. And I think that's a good way to put this for me. Like, when I started knife collecting, I never imagined that I'd have a collection like this. And now, having this collection, it makes me wonder, like, where it's going to go from here. Am I going to shrink it down and make it ultra premium? Is it going to keep growing? Am I going to keep playing in this range? Am I going to start dipping my toes into another one? Like, what's going to catch my eye next? And I don't know. It'll be fun to see, but hopefully you enjoyed checking these out with me. I don't need to make this any longer than it already is. I'm sure it's already quite a long video. I haven't been keeping track, but thank you for checking it out with me. And yeah, let me know down below if there's something else you'd like to see, like all of my fixed blades. I can do that, or I don't know, maybe I'll do another top 10 video soon. I probably should do that because it's been a little while, and I've got some new knives that have definitely broken into the top 10, which inherently means it's knocked some others out, and yeah, maybe I'll do that soon. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I appreciate it, and this has been my knife collection as of right now. And it's shrinking by 2 right after I end recording because I'm sending some of these out, but there's other ones on the way already too, so that's the way it goes. Thanks guys, I'll see you soon.